Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to America's Third Party. I'm David John Sponheim, running for president in 2016. The big question that's popping up out there in the blogosphere is, what is the Illuminati? They keep hearing this word, the Illuminati, the Illuminati. Is this some sort of a fictitious term? Well, many people have been studying the origins of this secretive society. And I can tell you at the least, it's a metaphor to describe the powerful elitists that have so much money that they can buy anybody. Money is at the heart of the system we live in. And our monetary system is essentially being managed by a private central bank. Now, there are leaders in our history, like Andrew Jackson, that have done everything they could to stop a central bank from forming. One of our better presidents who actually warned us of the dangers of a central bank, but here we are. We got Andrew Jackson on the face of every $20 bill printed by that central bank, the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve Act was passed in 1913. Woodrow Wilson, the president that oversaw it and signed it, said at the end of his life that it was the worst thing he ever did. The reason why the Federal Reserve is a problem for this country is, for one, they're overspending left and right. They're using a form of economics called monetarism, which creates larger and larger debt, thinking that that money will somehow infuse into our economy and create jobs. Well, even Ben Bernanke was completely asleep at the switch when he doled out $6.1 trillion over the past 4 years to big banks, too big to fail companies, and mortgage-backed securities. 6.1 trillion. If the American people had received that money, we would have all gotten $24,000 over this time period. $24,000, you can imagine how that would have helped our personal economy and the country at large. I know a lot of people are spending less on retail because they're trying to scrimp and save in this tough economy. Here I'm drinking coffee I make myself because I really can't afford to go out to Starbucks. I mean, I'd love to be able to go to Starbucks and buy an expensive cup of coffee, but I really don't want to spend $4. I can make this cup for 12 cents. And these kind of decisions are what the American people are making. Now, the plan of this secret society, the elitists that we're talking about, is to create what they call as a new world order. A global takeover of all countries. Now, America's Third Party stands for a nation-state model, the very same model that's existed for 1,000 years. Why would we want to change something if it's working? I mean, we can handle America, England can handle England, France can handle France, and all the other countries around the world should handle their own problems. But, oh no, this new world order that's been promoted by various presidents, including George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Henry Kissinger, this new world order is really just the old monarchies of the past 500 years rebranding themselves. And what this is an attempt to take complete power control over the entire world. And guess what? They've chosen our country as the police officer to implement this police state that they want to put together. So they use our country to start wars in countries like Libya. We single-handedly, pretty much, with NATO allies, took down Muammar Gaddafi and installed a president in Libya who is former Al-Qaeda. Now, if you can explain to me how or why our country funded rebel troops in Libya that are former Al-Qaeda, I would love to understand your answer. Because right now we're doing the same thing. Our country is funding rebel troops in Syria that are former Taliban or Al-Qaeda to break up a government in Syria. And the reason why they're breaking up the government in Syria is because they, the New World Order, they don't have monetary control over President Bashar al-Assad, just like they didn't have monetary control over Muammar Gaddafi. Well, we have a little problem in America, and that's the Benghazi cover-up. That's perhaps the looming problem that is never going to be dealt with. The two parties aren't going to talk about Benghazi. They won't take it to the next level. There was word a couple weeks ago that 31 CIA agents were on the ground in Benghazi when Chris Stevens died. Then we just got news last night that apparently 400 surface-to-air missiles were stolen the day Chris Stevens died. So all these things are questions that are not being answered. Why is it this government was involved in some sort of a cover-up regarding Benghazi? Why did the CIA tell Barack Obama that this was some sort of a reaction to the movie Innocence of Muslims? And incidentally, the maker of that movie was a federal informant, by the way. So why is it they were pushing the stories that were just not true, that in fact there was a terrorist act that occurred, and now we're finding out that the story's morphing into all these different things? Well, the mainstream media isn't talking about this. You won't hear about this story in the upcoming weeks. It's been pushed to the back pages of nowhere, and it will never be surfaced unless we have some reckoning, some third party to look at the problem with this corruption in our government. Our government is being handled by money brokers, and the people are getting nothing. The American people haven't had one penny since the $6.1 trillion was doled out to banks across the country. And those banks, by the way, they're not giving the money out to workers. They're sitting on that cash. They're creating what is called in economics liquidity traps. And when that cash is sitting there in their bank account, not going into making new products or production or jobs or employees being hired, that money is virtually useless. And that is what's happened. We've expanded our credit card economy to its ultimate level. So now the balloon will burst, our stock market will begin to subside, and we'll begin to see calamitous situations occur for Americans across the nation. Peter Schiff, the guy who talked about hyperinflation, and he's wondering when hyperinflation is kicking in. Well, it's kicking in. You're seeing higher prices everywhere. But the creative sense of ingenuity that Americans are known for has essentially been suppressed. People that want to create jobs, like Steve Wynn of Wynn Hotels, actually, he said that Barack Obama was ruining job creation and small business. And that's something very telling, because Steve Wynn voted for Barack Obama in 2008. But even people like him who employ lots of people in his hotel chain, even he's scared. He's scared about where this country's going. Clearly, the two parties have not managed the situation well. They have not protected industry here in America, and we are losing control over our resource production. This problem is spinning out of control, and it takes a guy with a keen mind to come into this situation at the final hour, like I'm doing right now, and try to make sense of it and pull us together so we can move forward with innovative technologies and a brand new hope for the future and a better environment for our kids. That's what I really believe could happen in the next 5 years if we get a new president in 2017. I can turn this around. But I'm not going to be able to do it with just me talking on the blogosphere here. This is a very difficult task. We've been doing this for 4 years, and I must tell you, it takes an incredible amount of perseverance to keep going in light of all kinds of obstacles. But we're going to keep working on this because we believe that we're sitting on the very nest egg of possibilities for this country, of potential. We are sitting on a potential simple concept that could revive our economy. We call it hybrid capitalism. And it's a very simple place for our country to move in right now. We can actually transition to hybrid capitalism rather quickly. The government begins to run like a business under this plan, making efficient decisions, making money back from its operations, and lowering its reliance on tax dollars and on the working class to pay for the non-working class. We need to have a plan that will revamp the system without tweaking it to the point where it's destabilized. Now, we're going to be opening up tent cities around the country in lieu of the major mortgage crises that are occurring across the nation. Foreclosures are happening all over the nation. We're seeing people now finally losing their house after they went through HAMP, the Home Affordability Mortgage Program, or they went through the programs that Obama spent $55 billion on, where the mortgage companies got all the money. Now the people are sitting there holding the bag going, wow, we've been ripped off. Even Bank of America was charged with a huge crime last week because they misled people in the HAMP program. They told people, oh yeah, stay in it, and then they just kind of leached more payments out of them, and then they dumped them. So a lot of people are going to be out of a job and out of a house in the coming years. We want to have tent cities constructed so that, I'm not talking about areas with fencing around them. Forget fencing around anything. I'm going to be ripping down all the fencing around FEMA camps. We're going to take down all the fencing. Forget fencing. We want regional supply centers, we want hot showers, we want portable toilet systems, and we want laundry facilities for people at these locations. And this is not that hard to implement. We can use the Corps of Engineers to make this happen, but we need to revamp the Corps of Engineers because there's corruption in that organization. I'm going to be stepping into a pile of crap as president in 2017. And I'm going to have to single-handedly, with the help of my advisors and supervisors, weed out the liars, the cheats, and the sneaky snakes, and get to the people that are credible, honest, and willing to do the work necessary to help our country. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to step up to the plate and become a political active person? You can do it from your own home. You can actually participate in this online revolution from your own home, simply by talking about a third party with your friends and family, and by tweeting us at third party, and by telling everybody on blogs that, America's Third Party is coming up with some new ideas. So our goal at America's Third Party is to actually trigger economic growth, solve some key environmental problems that are popping up across the nation, like the Gulf of Mexico, which, by the way, is seriously polluted still, and begin coming up with a sensible solution to deal with the oil crisis that's looming. Now, our country has a lot of oil, tremendous amount of oil. Even the people of North Dakota are realizing that right now with the Balkan fields, a tremendous treasure trove of sweet crude oil. But we Americans are not in control of our own resources. We don't even see oil as a resource. In fact, the government sees it as a commodity. That's why the Department of Energy doesn't have any oversight over oil. That would have to change under my leadership. I believe I can get the cost of gas down by as much as $2 a gallon from where it's at right now. I believe that would trigger a lot of income in our society that would help the retail economy. People would go back to JCPenney's and start shopping again, instead of seeing JCPenney's close up. And companies like Sears and Kmart, these are companies that are struggling right now in the retail economy. The American people need extra money. And right now, when they go to the gas pump, they're spending like $50 and they're getting broke. We're all getting broke just buying gas. So clearly we need an energy strategy that will make Americans have more spending money. We also need to lower taxes. And that plan is very simple with our fair flat tax. But that's going to require Congress. I need to do tax reform, and I'll be harping on tax reform my entire presidency. If we don't get Congress to instigate tax reform that will lower your income taxes for people making less than $100,000, then we're going to be facing the same crisis. Unlike the Democrats, we don't want to tax everybody and keep spending more and more. And unlike the Republicans, we don't want to just give big business a free ride and watch them take more and more money like big oil companies are taking right now, like ExxonMobil. They had a few years where they didn't even pay any taxes. In fact, they got money back from the government in green energy tax credits. All right, well, thank you for listening to this recorded broadcast. We do this show every night from 6 to 9 at Pacific time, and we do talk with the chat, except, of course, when I'm doing my recorded broadcasts, when I sometimes have to just talk off the top of my head. But none of this is coming off a teleprompter. None of this is being written by speechwriters, and it's all original, coming out of the American people who are trying to help solve America's problems. So if you don't get behind a plan like a third party, you're basically going to be the problem. If you continue to vote Democrat or Republican in the upcoming elections, you will be the problem. We need to get a brand new slate and a brand new way in which we can find common agreement in the center of the political spectrum. Thanks for watching.